in terms of keeping funding, it's kind of like in the beginning, when you get your first funded account, it's like this big, massive, exciting thing where it's like, I've absolutely cracked it. I'm going to go full time in trading, and you're just emotions just absolutely run wild. Whereas for now, it's like, I don't care if I'm trading a challenge, if I'm trading funded, if I'm trading personal, I just trade the charts. Whereas in the beginning, it's so easy for me to focus on, I've had plenty of funded accounts before and lost plenty. And that's all because I was just trying to trade the next payout or trying to hit the next rule or trying to trade the P&L all the time. Whereas for now, I just trade the charts. And that's why I kind of have two separate screens where I'll have a blank chart on one, and then I'll have my funded accounts on the next screen, because I don't like to see my positions on my actual trading view charts when I'm trading.
All right, folks, here we are on Trading Up. We've got a familiar face in the house. We've got Aaron Luce back in the house, all the way over there in Queensland, Australia. So welcome back to the show, Aaron.
Thank you, man. Thank you very much for having me back. It's a pleasure to jump on.
Hey, well, look, it's been 18 months, and I know the last time you were on, it was kind of an epic show. I mean, you got a lot of interest there. You were traveling and trading. You made that shift from CFDs to gold futures. You've basically been going for another year and a half, living as a full-time trader and 200K funded. I want to kind of hear and help the audience understand what it takes to sort of keep that consistency across a year and a half worth of, I suppose, extra time that we've been tracking your journey. So, do you want to give us a bit of an update?
So, I kind of have a lot of the things that I believe helped me become a good trader is a lot to do with not the actual charts directly themselves. So, in terms of like a routine, like a lot of people just wake out of bed, roll straight on the charts. Whereas for me, I'm the complete opposite. Like if I just go out of bed and go straight on the charts, like I'm just not going to be able to think right. So for me, in terms of a routine, I'll wake up in the morning, I'll have a coffee, I'll go walk my dog on the beach. Some like super simplistic things that I guess you could kind of say is my meditation in a way. And then once I've actually got my mind right, and fortunately for me, I trade, Asia and London. Well, Asia starts at, around like 10:30 a.m. ish. So I kind of have all of my morning to actually get ready. And then by the time I do come on the charts, although I'm trading the 5 minute, the biggest thing for me, because I've kind of gone from swing trading to now intraday trading, the biggest thing for me is when I started trying to day trade more, I would open my charts and go straight to the 5 minute and try and sort of pick direction off that time frame. It's the worst way you could ever trade gold, in my opinion. It's like if you just open your charts, go straight to the 5 minute and trying to pick direction off that, you're going to get chopped up all day long. So to me, the higher time frames is absolutely everything. So I want to understand, how did yesterday close? What news do we have for today? Where's my liquidity levels? And then, once I actually paint the picture, when I drop down to the 5 minute, that's purely for executing the hard work that I've already done on the higher time frame. So 5 minute for me, just execution, zero trade direction, purely just to, break out into whatever levels I have on the higher time frame. And that's kind of how I like to do it. It's so easy just to open your charts straight to the 5 minute, try and paint direction. And if you try and trade gold like that, so many times you can get bullish closure, bearish closure, and it just can chop you up all day long. So I only go to the 5 minute, maybe once I've got a 30 minute breakout or a 50 minute breakout and clear targets.
Okay, it's interesting. So the five, because I trade the same thing, right? So I trade gold 5 minute chart, and at the moment it's lovely, but in the past, like you can get some periods of time where, and they might last for weeks, where the ATR, the average true range of that 5 minute candle was like 3 or 5 pips, or equivalent to 3 or 5 pips, or 30 to 40, whatever you want to call it, points. What do you have a strategy for that and avoiding that kind of 5 minute, I suppose, just slowness? Hey, start trading Forex indices and commodities with up to 800K of Blue Guardian's capital risk-free. Just pay a small one-time fee to take the challenge, hit a profit target and get funded. Then keep up to 90% of your profits and enjoy fast weekly payouts. Now for futures traders, Blue Guardian Futures offers up to 450K in funding with 100% profit on your first 15K. With low targets, no activation fees and unlimited resets, it's one of the best deals in the industry. Visit blueguardian.com or blueguardianfutures.com to start trading today and grab their limited time discount code.
So for me, when I'm trading the 5 minute, all of my losses come, not all of them, but most of my losses come in periods of low volume, when the 5 minute is literally, like you say, just going absolutely sideways, or even the past like couple of days on gold. The daily's been, and it doesn't happen often, but it does happen. The daily would just be doji candles for the past 4+ days, which I kind of find if the daily to me isn't really painting too much direction, and we've grabbed daily highs and we've grabbed daily lows, and we haven't really broken out, me dropping down to the lower time frame isn't going to make that any easier. So my kind of, I want to say easiest, trading's never easy, but my easiest directional trades are when the daily's got a good direction, the 4 hourly's got a good direction. And if I can't pick a direction based on the breakouts and volume on the hourly and higher, the 5 minute isn't going to tell me anything different. If anything, it's just going to chop me up all day long. So higher time frame to me is, so important. And, the days where it just does go choppy, that's trading. Like everyone wants to, myself included, everyone wants to get into trading for the freedom. But if you can't bear to not take a couple of hours or a day off the charts, then what's the point of even doing this in the first place? If all you can think about is trading 24/7 and you never can really take a step back and actually walk away, when you go full time, it's going to be the most stressful career in the world, and you're going to be stressed. I could be with and it's happened to me, I could be with my partner down the beach or having dinner, and all I can think about is, what's the 5 minute doing on gold? It's just like, that's not a way to live. So you kind of have to be able to take that step back from the charts. And what I kind of tell myself is, the charts are going to be here tomorrow. The charts are going to be here next week. The charts are going to be here next month. But if I try and keep getting chopped up on the 5 minute, I'm not going to be here. And I want to make sure I am here, tomorrow, the next day after. I'm still going to get my piece of the pie. Even if gold rips 1,000 ticks today, tomorrow I'm going to come on the charts and I'm still going to get my piece. And that's all I'm here to do. Just get my little piece of it. And I'm
it's
happy.
An art form, really, isn't it? In terms of that specific aspect of going, okay, today looks crap, and I'm just going to avoid it.
Yep.
I'm going to walk away from that chart. Because it's something, I don't know, it's kind of hard to teach in a way. How do you 100%. Sort of like, how would you sort of sum it up if you're going to explain that to somebody that like, okay, today's a day that I don't want to be trading gold. What's the key thing for you if you had to sort of try and explain it to someone else?
I guess this is the tough thing with trading. Like, I've been trading for 7 years now, which is crazy, but there's so many things in trading and this being one of them, that you can't necessarily teach. It's like someone could say to me, okay, cool, today's going to be a crap day, don't trade the 5 minute. But me in the beginning, it's like, I don't care what you think. I still believe I'm going to get some good trades. But it's only once you get chopped up and you actually get burnt out, and then you kind of look back and you understand, well, why did I get burnt out? Well, the high time frame had zero direction. Okay, cool. But it's like you kind of have to feel that emotional pain a lot. For me anyway, it's like some people could maybe make the mistake once and learn from it. I'm not really like that. I kind of had to make the mistake a lot of times to feel that pain that many times where I get to a point, it's like, okay, cool. I keep doing this and I keep getting burnt out. So in this example, when the markets aren't trending and it is going to be a choppy day, in the past, and looking back at my journal, these days never end up well. So let me just come back tomorrow. It's like I could try and trade today and I might squeeze out a little trade, but over the long run, these days are usually what chops me up. And not only am I going to, take loads of losses, and by the time the next day breaks out and has good volume, I'm going to get my trade, I'm going to constantly be chasing my tail and just trying to get back to break even. But not only that, it's like, and you probably know as well, with gold in the 5 minute, it's like on the days where it is choppy, it can be incredibly mentally draining. And that for me is a massive part. Like, I don't want to burn myself out mentally, because by the time the good move comes in and gold does eventually break out, which it will, I'm not going to be ready to execute because I'm so burnt out on trying to trade the choppy range.
I mean, sometimes I'll just set an alert and say, right, when it hits that, it's out of this crap. And I'm just going to have to, not even look. I don't even need to look. Maybe 2 alerts, one on either side or something. You kind of just look at it and go, this thing's just like a snail crawling along, and people are trading the top and bottom of like some random range. And then and look, inevitably it does break out, and you go, could I have got in there at the best point? Probably not. Most times I couldn't, or there was like 6 setups. And the other 5 would have failed, but that one would have worked. So did I lose out? No.
Yeah, exactly. That's the biggest.
No, I was going to say. So you've obviously had a bunch of guys come through and learn from you. I saw one of your retreats on your Instagram. Looked really fun. What have you learnt from traders out there who are trying to get to the point or get to the position where you're at, where you're trading every day and finding success and maintaining these funded accounts and getting regular payouts?
Hey folks, what a view behind me. I'm at Blackbull Markets headquarters here in Auckland, New Zealand. Speaking of views, you can get TradingView paid plans for free at Blackbull Markets, saving you up to $600 a year. That's right, get either the Essential, Plus or Premium plans absolutely free, and all you need to do is trade from one lot a month at Blackbull Markets. And you can also get a 100% deposit bonus for your first deposit up to $1,000. All you need to do is click the Trading Nut link in the description below.
There's so many reasons, and I think a lot of people, and myself included, think that like these mistakes that you're experiencing and this emotional pain that you're experiencing is only happening to you, which I have to tell you, like, I promise you, every single mistake you can think of, I promise you, I've made it way too many times. So it's like, the markets, obviously, we laugh because in the beginning, you think the markets are out to get me. The markets know exactly where my stop is, and they're purely out to just get me, who's sitting here in my room trying to trade. Like it's not like that. So the biggest thing is kind of like I said earlier, is like, trying not to, for instance, when I was trying to transition into more part-time to full-time trading, is like I had a 9-to-5 job, which I absolutely hated. And I would use that negativity from that job to then try and come on and trade the charts and force trades because I was so annoyed at my lifestyle that I was living that I hated so much and wanted to escape. But it's like, if you come onto charts with that mindset, you're just going to delay your journey. So for me, like I always say to people, I didn't make a single penny in trading for the first 2 to 3 years, not a single penny. If anything, lost money. And that wasn't necessarily because I didn't have, the best technicals in the world, or like, if anything, me from year one to now, 7 years, like my technicals have got simpler, if anything. So it's kind of about understanding that, like, try and fix these other aspects of your life and think of trading in the long run. Like, you're not going to be paid off how you perform today or tomorrow. Like, your job as a trader is performing well over the next month, the next quarter, over the year. Whereas in the beginning, it's like, now we want to get the payout today and we want to, get funded today. But it's like, it's all well and good. People will do it, but these are the people that won't be around in the next 2 to 3 to 4+ years. You got to think of like, this is an actual career. That if I, just dedicate 2 to 3 years, just dedicate 2 to 3 years with zero expectations, you will get there a lot quicker, as opposed to the person who's like, nah, I want to make money right now. And we all get into trading for the money. It's easier said than done, but it's only like once you kind of go through it, it's like, man, I believe I could have been so much further ahead in my journey if I had just focused on becoming a good trader and calling good market direction than saying, I want to make this much money. So I say to everyone, just focus on becoming the best trader you can possibly be. And, the money is a byproduct of that. So like, if you get good at trading, you might make money. If you get good at trading and you become good at calling these moves and you can do it consistently and you can manage your risk, you're going to make money. So focus on becoming a good trader. Down the line, it takes time and you'll make money.
It's interesting. It just reminds me of a couple of things. Like, one is, I found with myself, I had a lot of reluctance in terms of stuff I didn't want to do that was trading related. For example, I didn't want to look at every single 5-minute candle when a trade was running. I wanted to just hit the order and go, yeah, this is my take profit. I'm either in or out. I wanted to do that. And what I found was, when I did that, it might have worked for a short period of time, then I'd start to fail, and that's where I'd struggle. Do you find there's anything like with the students you've got, or anyone, or anything you've come across, where there's just like a mental barrier that people aren't able to cross, that you can sort of see it and go, yeah, I had that problem as well, but I crossed it eventually, and then things became a lot easier?
The biggest, I think, is a massive thing of everyone starting out, was like, everyone is so fixated on risk to reward. Like, everyone is obsessed with having, you saw this guy on Instagram who had the 1 to 10 risk to reward, and you become so fixated on having that risk to reward that you try and put in a tight stop loss because you want to put your risk to reward opinion on the markets. Whereas for me, is if I in the beginning had just maybe focused on like 1-to-1 risk to rewards or 1.5 risk to rewards and actually let my trade breathe, I would again be much further ahead. And it's like the refinement of, you're going to get the times where, you may hit the 1 to 5 risk reward, but you're not going to get them every month. It's just not going to happen. So focus on letting your trade actually breathe, build up, a good couple of hundred trades, and then start to look back at them. Okay, cool. how could I have maybe refined this trade a little bit more? Okay, cool. Well, price grab the lows here. Maybe that could have been a valid stop. Fantastic. But refine over time. Don't be so fixated on having the tightest stop loss and the biggest risk to reward. Focus on, you can be profitable with trading, 1-to-1s, 1-to-1.5, 1-to-2s. And some people in the beginning like turn their nose up at that for some reason. But it's like, if you can actually do that consistently and you can let your trade breathe, like I would rather let my trade breathe than let it hit my stop loss and then just watch it rip to my target, because you're never going to learn that way. You're always just trying to, and most of the time you put your stop loss under complete randomness because you're trying to squeeze out this risk reward. But it's like, if you put it below a decent level and that's a very safe level, if it does break that, okay, cool, I don't want to be in the trade, that's fine. You will be able to refine over time. But in the beginning, just focus on actually just executing well. Because so many times, people will talk themselves out of a trade because the risk to reward isn't good or something like that. But it's like, just focus on becoming a good executor. Remove all the hesitation, see the trade, see the setup, and just press buy or sell. What's the worst that can happen? You're going to lose. Cool, you're going to learn something. But the worst thing you do is just hesitate and do nothing because you're so focused on, that whole risk to reward. So good execution and let your trades breathe, and over time refine.
I've heard that before in terms of the breathing. I mean, I find a lot of that comes with confidence. I mean, do you still do any back testing to keep that level of confidence around your system up, or have you just now you do it every day, you don't really need to? Hey folks, just jumping in here quickly. Now, if you're looking to trade dynamically, you want to learn from my own trading mentor, JJ, then what you need to do is click the link in the description, register your interest, because we're going to be launching this Dynamic Traders Club very soon and you don't want to miss out. All right, let's dive back in.
Yeah, not sometimes I do it, but just for the purpose of maybe showing other people. But for me personally, I don't do it. I used to do, which I think people should do, like every single weekend religiously. I would do like 1 to 2 hours worth of back testing. But now I've been trading for this long, my weekends are important. So I try and take that step back. But yeah, absolutely. Whether you do it through, because like I say, you want to build up a data of at least a good couple of hundred trades. So whether you do that all from back testing or a mix of back testing and forward testing, it's up to you. I think both are great. But whichever way that you can actually build up that data, and do that, and the quicker you can do that, then the quicker you can move forward and start trading live properly. So yeah, for people starting, I would say absolutely.
And so, like for the novice trader who's like rabbit in the headlights, they've done all the back testing, they've gone in, entered a trade, they've met their rules, they've done everything right, and then they forget what the back testing showed them, and then freak out and end up getting out of the trade at a small loss or moving it to break even too early. Yep. How do you sort of coach someone through that, or how would you coach someone through that?
So I kind of always say, like, you have to understand, like, if you have, like, I don't know, if you have a fantastic back testing, like, you make 10% a month back testing, the reality is in live markets, you're probably going to make a fraction of that. And that's not necessarily because the charts are doing anything different. It's just because we're humans at the end of the day. We're going to have the off days. We're going to have the days where we weren't able to jump on the charts and catch that trade. And the biggest thing that kind of people do, and I watch people do in their back testing as opposed to live markets, kind of like we said earlier, the days where it's choppy, what do? We click our mouse and we just skip them days. We just click it. I'm like, no, I don't like this. Click it forward, skip that. Okay, well, so then you should kind of relate that to live markets. So if ever I see it choppy, I'm like, okay, cool. If I was back testing this, would I be trying to trade this, or would I skip it forward? And if the answer is I would skip it forward, okay, cool. Well, then I'll walk away. And so kind of like reduce your expectations as well. Like I say, if you have a 80% win rate when back testing, the likelihood is you're probably going to have a 60% win rate. And the biggest thing is, and if you have fantastic back testing results, but when you trade live, you're not getting the exact same results. Well, what does that tell you? Does it tell you that maybe the technicals are wrong? Probably not. It's probably more so something to do with your psychology and the pressure of you're in a challenge or you're trying to get funded. So it's like an external pressure. So therefore, don't go strategy hopping when you have good backtesting results and then you go to live markets, it doesn't work as well. And then you start kind of looking, okay, this person on social media is doing this. Maybe I need to learn this. And then you just kind of go down that whole rabbit cycle of just learning and learning and learning. And then you never kind of actually improve. As long as you accept, backtesting has zero emotions in it and live trading doesn't. To me, trading is like 70% psychology. So focus on what are you doing wrong in terms of psychology. Like, are you hesitating on this trade and why are you hesitating? So journal when you're live trading, like not just, I took this trade and this trade was a good win. It's like, no, how did you feel going into that trade? Because these are the things this is the data that you won't get from backtesting, but this is the data that you really need from live markets. Like, how did you feel going into that trade? Okay, cool. I was a little bit hesitant. That trade ended up being a loss. Okay. Every time I'm hesitant going into a trade, that ends up being a loss. Therefore, if I'm not too short on this trade, let me just wait and kind of build up that whole data, which you can only really get from trading live markets.
The other thing with backtesting I find is like you might backtest, 100 trades or 100 days and have a bunch of trades in there, get your stats, but then the reality is you're not there for all those trades. You're missing trades, so all of a sudden you could just pick the 3 losers in a row because you missed the winners or you miss a winner and then you force the next trade, which wasn't really your setup. It's one of those things where the live market is a different beast. You mentioned journaling there. I mean, do you still journal yourself?
Yes and no, I do. So I trade live on YouTube every single day. So I kind of use that as my journal. But I still, import, I use TradeZella now. I import all my data into that. But I used to kind of sit there every single week and analyze every single trade that I take. Whereas now I'm a little bit more, a little bit more free with it. Like if I do something wrong, I know what I've done wrong and I know why I was wrong. Whereas in the beginning, it's like if you take loads of losses, you don't really know what you're doing wrong. So you kind of need to digest it a little bit more. Whereas now if I do something wrong, I'm like, okay, cool. I know I did this wrong because of this. I know I shouldn't do that. So I don't really need to kind of reflect as much. But yeah, I still kind of treat it like a business. I want to understand like, what's my win rate? How good are my wins? Do I need to still, I still have times where, I might cut a trade early. Like I'm never perfect and you never will be perfect. So I still kind of want to look at that and be like, okay, cool. Is there little things I can tweak? Most of the time, not really. Sometimes I do have losses, but that's just trading. We're never going to be perfect.
If you had to explain your strategy, I mean, can you do it at a high level or an in-depth level? And maybe how it's changed over the past 18 months, if anything?
Yeah, 100%. So honestly, like it sounds crazy, but my trading has got simpler the longer I have gone on. And I'm almost at a point where I'm like pretty much just trying to trade a naked chart. Like for me, this is the reason I love gold so much because the price action is just so consistent. And the biggest thing for me is the way I trade gold is using liquidity. So if gold's ever going to have a big move up or down, it's always going to come up and grab the highs and then push down. So in the simplest of forms, my trade is trying to understand liquidity in terms of could be third touch of a trend line where people are trying to buy, I'm trying to sell into it, or a double top resistance level. Gold, if there's ever a double top, gold's always going to grab it before the real move. So I'm trying to understand what are most people trying to do and how can I trade into that, as opposed to what I would kind of do previously is if I had a liquidity level, I would wait for price to get up there and then try and short. Whereas now I'm trying to expose myself to the fact that anything can happen. So if I have a double top, I'm trying to look for opportunities to buy up into that as opposed to waiting for price to get there and then trying to do something else. So all about trying to understand what are people trying to do, where's liquidity, and can I trade into it? Sometimes I might not be able to trade into it, but if we start grabbing it and then breaking out, cool, then I'll take the trade out of it. But I've gone from trading breakouts out of liquidity to now understanding liquidity and trading into that. And that can just be my trade.
And it's funny, like you say that, what are people trying to do, which is what my mentor JJ's been sort of like harping on for years in terms of it's all about what are they doing? What's everyone thinking? And if you understand that, it becomes a whole lot easier because you're going, oh, right, these guys are trying to do that. Now I know what they're trying to do. So therefore, I may as well do the same thing versus trying to come up with what I want to do, which is never going to work.
100%. That's something that I would be the person back in the day that, when I say I'm trying to understand what people are doing, I'm also trying to say, I'm trying to understand, well, what would I be doing when I first started? Like I would be the person that would try and buy a third touch of a trend line. And I kind of would try and trade third touch of a trend line. They never worked. Okay, cool. So now I want to use that to how can I trade into what they're doing? So it's like, I'm just trying to understand everything that I used to do wrong. How can I kind of do the opposite and trade into what I would be thinking? And that's, gold does that very, very, very well.
Now, what we're going to do, folks, is we're going to dive into a price chart after this. So stay tuned because you're going to get to see how Aaron actually trades. So that'll be a fantastic little experience. Now, what about the future, mate? So you've been doing this for a while now. You're all set up there over in Australia. Where to next? What are your plans with trading? Because I think you're trading a 200K account. Does Do you want to increase it, grow it? What happens?
I'm kind of doing a bit of I'm doing a lot. Like I'm about to turn 30 in in about 2 weeks, which is kind of scary. And I've been training since I started training when I was like 22, 23 at the end of my university. So I'm kind of like, at the minute, I'm trying to expand more into longer term investments as well. So anything I make, because day trading is stressful. Like it is hard. It's never easy. So it's like I kind of want to use day trading to build long term stock portfolios and focus more on, like now I try and trade a lot less. Like previously I used to try and trade every single session, but it's like, now it's like, if anything, I'm trying to trade less because I'm trying to I guess buy back our time. I'm like, if I can just sit here, stream for 2 hours in the London session, get my trade, like that's good enough for me. I'm not trying to trade Asia and I'm not trying to trade London or every single session. And other things, I used to be full-time traveling and trading, whereas now I have more of a home base. I got more responsibilities. We're jumping on the trading retreat soon as well, which is amazing. So I'm super excited to continue growing them and just growing more longer term stocks and just kind of expanded into.
So you mentioned stocks there. I mean, it's interesting because I've kind of done the same. What's your sort of base level, for stocks to actually focus on? Have you got any rules around that?
Honestly, my technicals on stocks are incredibly, I'm no stock expert, but my technicals on stocks are incredibly simple. Like I'm just trying to trade major breakouts. And if I can, do 10 to 20, 25% a year on my stock portfolio, I'm extremely happy. So I trade like the daily and the weekly, honestly, just trying to trade major breakouts and trade the biggest stocks, like the Teslas, the Nvidias, maybe sometimes just even the S&P and NASDAQ when it comes into key levels. Because, I say to people, like, if I can do, 10 to 20% a year on that, people go, oh, that's easy. Like I can easily do it. It's like, sometimes it's easier said than done. You still have the losses, you still have the drawdowns, but I'm just trying to limit them as much as possible and being extremely patient. I don't check it every day. I might check it once a week, or I might set some major alerts for, Tesla to come into some major levels, and trying to manage, stocks is a lot different. Like people think just stocks only go up, which is kind of true over time, but you're still going to have drawdown periods, and I kind of want to hedge them as much as I can. Purely higher time frame as well. I don't watch any intraday time frame on stocks at all. It's just kind of execute and just kind of leave it.
And what about so futures? I mean, a lot of the guys listening here are either going to be MetaTrader or C Trader kind of traders. You've made that transition to futures. I mean, what can you give us some stuff around the software that you're using to actually place trades? Any kind of gotchas that you've found along the way that people should know about? And then and any plus sides as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I honestly think the platforms are a lot easier. The biggest thing for me for moving to futures is I'm trading the 5 minute. So I'm trading the 5 minute. I can't deal with the poor feels that sometimes you get on MT5. Like you could set a buy order, price doesn't hit it, but you get tagged in. Whereas on futures, it's not like that. The execution is there. Happens to all of us. Hit your stop loss, but price didn't actually hit your stop loss. So that's the main reason I trade futures, because I don't have to deal with spreads. My execution is much better. But in terms of platforms, obviously I used the Top Step X platform and use NinjaTrader for personal, and it's much easier just to, at first you'll go on it, you'll be like, oh my God, what is this? But it's honestly so much easier. You can even, if you really wanted to hook it up to TradingView, if you like to execute on TradingView. But the biggest thing is, I think a lot of people, have been trading maybe foreign exchange for a while, and they want to move to futures, and they think that is going to kind of be like the escape from what they're maybe doing wrong. It's like the CFD side or the futures side isn't really going to make a big difference into my profitability. Like if I'm not making money trading foreign exchange, I'm probably not going to make money trading futures. But there is going to be a lot more benefits where there's a lot more regulations. My money's a lot safer in the brokers, and I just have much better execution. But in terms of platforms, super easy. Like I now go back to, I used to trade on MT4. I go back on MT4. I'm like, how did I ever trade on this?
So sorry, what's the name of the platform you're using again?
You can use, so I use the Top Step X platform for funding, and then you can also use NinjaTrader as well for personal.
Cool. Right, folks. Well, I'll tell you what we're going to do is ask Aaron one last question, and then we'll wrap the show up and then dive in a chart. So that's coming up here on the channel. Now, the last question is, if you had to give some advice to aspiring traders, newbies, intermediate traders, they want to really get to that pro level, what advice would you give them?
Biggest thing is when you come onto the charts with zero expectations and stop trying to predict the markets. Like, I come onto the charts every single day, like, I don't care if gold's going to go up or down today. My job isn't to predict the markets. Like, I could come on stream sometimes, gold's pushing lower, and someone goes, gold's going to go up soon. To me, that's just stupid thinking. If gold's going to go up soon, fine, I'll let the market show me that gold's going to go up soon, and then I'll trade it. But I don't come onto the charts, gold's ripping up, I'm going to start trying to short all-time highs. I'm very, very much more reactive than predictive now. It's like I can have my technicals of where I think price can go. But if I think price can go into some highs, but we're breaking lower, am I going to react off what I'm thinking? Of course not. I'm going to wait for price to break out, and then the price shows me, okay, cool, what I'm thinking is now correct. Now I can react off that. So come onto charts, extremely neutral, and just know that, your job isn't to be right every single time. Your job isn't to predict the markets. Your job is to simply react to whichever way the markets are breaking out and just execute well. It's
interesting. I get the same thing. Like, there's always somebody in the comments or chat who knows exactly where gold's going, and then 9 times out of 10 they're wrong. Now, on that note, just before you wrap up, so a losing day. So you've had a losing day. What do you do? Do you have any emotion? What do you do the next day? How do you sort of deal with losing days, which everyone will have?
Absolutely. That's the thing. I always kind of say to everyone, like, we are in the business of losing. Like, you are never going to be the perfect trader. Like, it doesn't matter what level you get to, the losses are always going to be there. And over time, they're going to get bigger. So the biggest thing that we have to accept is that's going to happen. So if you keep getting emotional every time you take a loss, like, you need to kind of really understand why. Whereas for me, if I take a loss and it was a good trade that fit all of my rules and I followed my plan to absolute perfection, I leave this office and I go, that was a fantastic day. I executed my plan. The markets just didn't play out today. That's trading. If I take a loss and I did something completely stupid or wrong, then I will be like, okay, cool. Like, I'm a bit of an idiot. Like, what did I do wrong and how can I get better? But if I just take a loss, that's a good day. What I won't do is start revenge trading and start getting super emotional. And if I do, I still get similar emotions of when I first started trading. But what I don't do is react off them emotions too much anymore. So if I take a loss, and then I might take, if I take a loss on the day, I don't just stop and walk away. I can still give myself another chance today. But then if I take another loss and I can feel that, maybe I'm starting to get a little bit annoyed and a little bit frustrated, which is completely normal, I'll just take a step back. I'll go outside. I'll go get some fresh air, go what we're talking to. Anything besides watching these charts. So it's more about, you're going to have losing days. They are absolutely not going anywhere. And as you get better, they're only going to get bigger, which also gets harder. But as long as you can accept the big, you shouldn't have, like, I don't have big losing days. I have losing days, but I don't have big losing days because I kind of understand my emotions. And if I ever am getting emotional, accept it and walk away. And like I said earlier, come back tomorrow. The charts are going to be here tomorrow. But if I try full margin my entire account, I won't be. And that's not where you want to be.
Yeah, I like that. It's really good advice. Just keep it cool. Hey, look, Aaron, thanks again for coming on. We're going to jump into a chart and see what he actually does in a second. So folks, stay tuned for that video. But what's the best way for traders to find out more about you?
I post a lot on YouTube, just Aaron Trades. You guys can see me there doing my trades, doing the live streams, everything.
Brilliant. Well, what we'll do, folks, is hook that link up underneath this video here. Go and check it out. Whilst you're there, hit subscribe, like, and that notifications bell, and we'll see you in that next video.